Yeah, welcome back to Breslov Efrat. It's Shira David, Baruch Hashem. And today we'll going to continue our lessons in Likutey Halachos. And Baruch Hashem, we're starting a new letter today, Hilchos Tizzit Beis. And this is based on Likutey Maran Tinyana, lesson Yud Beis 12. All right, so just a beautiful thing. Anything that you find ever in Tinyana is such a sweet thing, because we know that Rabbi Nachman actually wrote the first section of Likutey Maran, the first book of Likutey Maran he wrote. But the second section of Likutey Maran was actually written by Reb Nosson, based on Rabbi Nachman's lessons, based on his lessons. And yeah, it's an amazing thing. We know that Rabbi Nachman, when he came back he was in Lemberg, came back and he had the tuberculosis, and he used to go in the fields around the forest in Breslov, and Reb Nosson would go with him because the air was good for him. He had the tuberculosis, so he needed the fresh air. In the forest, the air was nice and so he felt a little bit better in the forest. And Reb Nosson really heard the nicest lessons from Rabbi Nachman in those walks that he took with him in the forest. And Reb Nosson would write down the lessons. That's pretty much what Tinyana is. Unbelievable. Just so beautiful. So anyway, here. So the Rebbe says that, let's see, Reb Nosson writes today. Inyan tzitzis al pima shama Rabbeinu neira yor al pasuk va'ayeh yaseh la'oila. Ayin Sham Heitev, that's the name of the lesson. That's the name of lesson 12 in Likutey Maran, Tinyana. And it means, where is that seh? Where is that little animal? Where is that seh for the oila? Because when Avram Avinu was walking with Yitzchak, and he had the fire, and he had the knife, and he had the wood, and Yitzchak Avinu asked him, where is the seh? And Avram Avinu said that you're the seh. So those words are so deep. Where is Aye? So let's see what the Reb Nosson, how he explains the lesson for Rabbi Nachman. It's an amazing idea. And here we go. So Aleph, you ready? You see it, David? You got it? Yeah. Okay. V'klal, שגם מקיימס המטונפים ובתי עבודה זרה, גם הם מקבלים חייס מהבורא יתברך שמיים. Wow. That even the places of filth, the places of idol worship, churches, and so on, all these places of impurity, that are so impure. There's places that have such disgusting things to them. But those places too are getting their chiyus, they're getting their life force from the Rabbeinu Shalom. Hashem is keeping them going as well. Because we know that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't keep anything going and His name wasn't on anything in the world, it would cease to exist. It's only because Hashem's name is there does it exist. But it's a phenomenon. We would ask, why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu want, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is pureness and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is goodness, why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu want in the world these places, these mekaymes hamatunafim? Why would He want to have in the world these batei avodah zara? And the real answer is because everything that we have, everything that we see, when we walk around and we choose the right thing, if there was only the right thing in the world, so then you couldn't choose the wrong thing. But because HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts all these things in the world, He gives us the ability to have bechira, free choice. So you can choose, do I go here or do I go there? Do I do this or do I do that? And that's the real point. And that's the secret why HaKadosh Baruch Hu has these things in the world. But look what he says now. Even though the covet of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, His glory, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor, is very, very distant from those places. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor and glory is not found in those places. If anything, they're against HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor and glory, correct? They're against it. They're not for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor and glory. The Navi Yeshaya says in Mem Beis, in my honor to the other side, la'acher, I don't give. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give his covet there. He gives them the ability to be in existence, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't place his glory there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives it the ability to exist, but not his glory. Im kol zeh, hey mekablen chiyas mi bechinas mamer sosem shehu bereishis. Oh, these are fascinating idea. And these are the words found in what we're reading now. These are the words found in Tinyana, in lesson 12 in Likutey Moharan. This is where it's found. So what is the Mamer Sasam of Bereshis? So the Gemara in Shabbos explains that there's a mem that's opened and there's a mem that's closed, right? A mem. What is a mem? A mem can be in the middle of a letter, the middle of a word, right? You can have a mem, David, you can have a mem that's in the middle of a word, and there the mem on the bottom is opened. That's open. Mm-hmm. But when the mem is at the end of the word, then it's closed. That's the sasam. It's closed. It's patua. It's open when it's in middle, but it's closed when it's at the end of the word. And that's the way we understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have really made all of creation in one utterance. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to have 10 utterances? Why did he have 10 utterances? What was the whole point in the utterances that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made to create the world? Why? So that we should have schar. We should have schar for when we do mitzvahs, and there should be punishment when mitzvahs are not being done. And that's the reason why. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu has what's called the Maimer Sasam, the unspoken words. We know what's spoken, but we don't know what was not spoken, we don't know. And from what's not spoken, that's where these places get their chiyas from. The non-spoken part. Not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, but what he didn't say. The Maimer Sasam. Shu bechinas kavod elyon. That's kavod elyon. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's glory on high. Shehu sasam v'nelam b'tachlis ha'astorah. We don't understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor and glory up on high. We're grappling to understand what HaKadosh Baruch Hu's covet and honor is in this world. But of course we can never understand what it is on Elyon. That's sasam, that's closed. Umisham heim mekablim chiyas. And that's where HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them their chiyas, comes from that highest place. Listen to this stuff, it's amazing. The chiyas to these places come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's highest glory, but he doesn't give it to them, but it comes from there. But look what he says now. Ukisha Adam Neifel Isham. And then if there's a Jew that chas v'shalom falls to those places, if a Jew falls and he finds himself in a place that's not nice for a Jew. He finds himself in these places that are very not nice. What's a word you want to use for that?
Filthy.
A filthy place. If a person finds himself chas v'shalom in a filthy place, azay keshemaske levakesh ulechapes. But then when he starts to think and he looks around, he's, what am I doing here? What am I doing in this place? The person, how did I fall here? What am I doing here? And he says, Hashem, where is your place? Where are you, Hashem? Where are you? I know, Hashem, you're here, but where are you, Hashem? That's his tshuva, and that's his tikkun. Why is that? because he's found himself in this low, filthy place, like you said. He found himself in this place. And when he recognizes that Hashem's glory is there, that Hashem is there, but Hashem is not there, it's not pronounced. Hashem is not there, that it's not visual. You don't see Hashem there. But he recognizes that that place too is Mamish Hashem. That's his tshuva. That's his way back. When he says, Aye mekayim kevoidai, ki choizer v'oile es hakavoid ha'elyon. Because now he could bring back, he could be choser, he could return, and he can elevate the kavod elyon, where the kavod came to give ability for this filthy place to exist. He says, Aye mekayim kevoidai. He sees it's the Rabbeinu Shalom. And he's able to give the kavod back. He's able to return HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kavod back on high. Shu aye mekayim kevoidai. Because that's the place of sasam. That's the place of where it's closed. Hashem's glory, His honor is not found. The same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor and glory is not found in these unattractive places. These filthy places, these places that don't belong, that a Jew doesn't belong in. But when the Jew says, Aye mekayim kevoidai, he could bring back the kavod elyon, mishama mekaymais, from those places. Mikablim chiyas godol migoydol hastara. And because those places have their chiyas, they have their existence because of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's great hastara. He's hidden because of the hiddenness. Va'achshav, and now, hu choyzer medabek atzmai l'kedusha. He now can return himself back and cling and connect himself to Kedusha Zu, Mekabel Chiyas Misham V'Oila Ayadez, and that's how he can raise himself up. So a person can find himself in the most unattractive place. And when the Jew recognizes, and he says, what am I doing here? Aye mekayim kevoidai. Where are you, Hashem? That's his tshuva, because he's recognizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really here. Even though Hashem is hidden over here, he recognizes that Hashem is here. And and Hashem gives the chiyas to this place, the life force to this place. Ayin Sham Hetiv. So Rab Nosson writes here now, that's basically the lesson of Rabbi Nachman that Rab Nosson wrote down. That Rab Nosson learned from Rabbi Nachman, but he wrote it down. So Rab Nosson says we could see Ayin Sham Hetiv, see this idea. I'm explaining it to you a little bit from outside, but if we have any questions, you can always send me a message, and we can always go in a little bit deeper. V'zeh nechshav lekarban oila, and that's considered like a carbon oila, a burnt offering. Shemachap al hiro al halev shu bechinas livi secharcher. What is Levi Sechar? My heart is dizzy. I'm dizzy.
Fantasies of the heart.
It's dizziness. Yeah. The heart gets dizzy. The heart desires, right? It says that the eyes see, and then the heart desires, and then the person does the sin. That's how it works. Ayidei klipas noga. Through klipas noga. What's klipas noga? We learned about klipas noga. What is klipas noga? Klipas noga is the klipa which is so to say, you could say it's parav. It can go either way. It's something that has the ability to be of kedusha, and you can elevate it, but it can also be lowered. Right? The example that we can use is here. We're gonna here.
Amen.
So here we have a cup of coffee, right? So I make a bracha on the cup of coffee. Now, a person can lift up this cup of coffee and just drink the coffee. The coffee is kosher. The coffee is klipas noga. It's kosher. Mm-hmm. I could drink it. It has the ability to be used. When I make a bracha on it, I elevate it. I elevate it up because I made a bracha on it. But if someone drinks the coffee without a bracha, he drags it down. Mm-hmm. He drags it down. Same cup of coffee. That's klipa noga. It has the ability to be elevated, or it has the ability to be brought down. Through a person screaming out, Aye mekayim kivoidei, Aye, where is your place of glory, Hashem? That a person in these low, unattractive places can call out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu there. Through that he can make a repair and he can be forgiven. Like a carbon oiler. What's a carbon oiler? There are different carbonas, right? There's a carbon chatas when a person realizes he did something inadvertently. Is that the right way to say? He did it by mistake, inadvertently, right? So what does he do? He has to bring a carbon chatas, right? He brings a carbon chatas. And the carbon chatas is given a part to the Mizbeach, a part to the Kohen, a part to him, okay? But the carbon oiler is on Hirar Aveira. A person thought of something. He thought he wanted to do Avodah Zarah. He thought. He had a thought. It was only a thought. He didn't do it. It was a thought. On that he has to bring a complete burnt offering. A burnt offering. A burnt offering because he had a thought. When he does something actual and he does a sin inadvertently, then he brings a carbon chatas. But a carbon oila that's completely burnt on the mizbeach, everything's burnt. That is what? And that's a very high carbon. Why? Because everything is for Hashem. So that when a person understands Aye mekayim kivoidei, from this place that's unattractive, this place, and he cries out to Hashem, he realizes where he is. And he calls out to Hashem. That, in fact, is his tikkun. That, in fact, is his repair. He makes a repair for his mistake, and he attains atonement. The nasa mizeh bechinas carbon oila. He becomes like a carbon oila. Why is a carbon oila? We said va'aye hasel oila, right? Va'aye hasel oila. Va'aye hasel oila. That's the name of the Torah that this is based on. Va'aye hasel oila. Bechinas va'aye hasel oila. Ze bechinas bereishis bara tayish. Bereishis bara tayish. This is from the Zohar. Tikunei Zohar. You see this in the end and you can find this on page 139 on the first side. What is bara tayish? Hainu hasel oila. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the word Bereshis, already there was included that seh, that little sheep, whatever it was, that little lamb that was there, By Yitzchak Avinu, when the Malach said, Al tishlach yodcha lanar, don't touch that nar. And Avraham Avinu was ready to slaughter Yitzchak Avinu on the altar. And the Malach called out, Al tislach yadcha lana. Don't hurt that nar. So Avraham Avinu looked around, and in the bushes, there was a ram that was stuck. There was a ram that was stuck in the bushes, and Avraham Avinu took that ram, and he put that in lieu of Yitzchak Avinu. And that was the oila, the burnt offering. Shenasa bechinas bereishis. Shu mamar asasam, that's the ma'im asasam bechinas. Va'aye haseh la'oila. Ayin sham kol zeheta. This is everything we learned here now is from lesson 12 in Likutey Maran, in Tinyana. So let's do another letter. Are you ready? Can we do another letter? Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll stop.
I need to take
Okay, we'll stop now. Okay, everyone. Now, shkoyach, everybody. We did Aleph.